Good morning and welcome to the Rasa 2022 AGM. And I'm Paul, VK2APA, I'm the Rasa President, and I'll be chairing the AGM with the support of Rasa management team. This year's AGM is being live streamed using Zoom and will be made available for viewing afterwards once uploaded to the Rasa YouTube page. The minutes today are being taken by Ian, VK2VUF, and there's a couple of things we probably need to note. That the previous minutes for the 2021 AGM have been circulated, and all members 21 days prior to this AGM. And the meeting has been available for viewing for the past year. The membership was polled by email for confirmation on these minutes, reflected the proceedings of last year, and no dissenting feedback has been received. Okay, the 2022 Rasa election commenced on August the 26th, and this process was overseen and approved by our returns officer, Michael van den Akker, VK3GHM. I'd like to thank Michael on behalf of Rasa management and membership for performing this role. And note this meeting is an administrative presentation only, and all questions from members were taken via email in advance of this meeting. We also have a online discussion forum for members, and we may have that immediately after the meeting. We were thinking about actually having a separate date for it, but some of our commitments make it a little bit difficult for later in the year. But keep in mind, you can always ask Rasa questions anytime via email. The member voting undertaken for this AGM has already been carried out and will be reported upon on during this meeting. And we're following the AGM meeting protocol. Followed today is compliant with the association rules. Okay, over to the admin secretary, Ian.
Very good. Yeah, Ian, VK3BUF here as admin secretary. I've got here a copy of the document supplied by Michael van den Akker, VK3GHM, our returns officer, who was overseeing the online election process. And I'll just read out the short amount of information provided. Election results, Rasa 2022. A call for nominations was made to members via email on the 26th of August with a request for nominations for Rasa committee positions for the 2022-2023 period to be received by the returns officer before 1700 Eastern Standard Time on the 30th of August. One nomination for each of the following positions was received before the due time and date. President, Paul, VK3APA. Vice President, Robert, VK6PAP. Treasurer, myself, Ian Jackson, VK3BUF. General Secretary, Phil, VK3VB. And Admin Secretary, I'm acting in that role, or I nominated for that role while we're looking for another position in VK3BUF. And note Chris Chapman has stood down after his 4-year maximum term. I'll speak on that in a moment. Therefore, these above positions can be filled by the nominees without ballot. Declaration. I, Michael van den Akker, as Returns Officer, do hereby declare that the above results are a true and accurate record of the results as submitted by nominees. And that's dated the 6th of September from Michael. Just a comment on the Chris standing down. We have a Rasa ruling where there's a maximum of 4 years for someone to occupy a committee position in one role, or 6 years in total, before they're required to take a break of 2 years, after which they can rejoin. That was written into the rules from the beginning to allow for a healthy turnover of committee positions. And thank you very much, Chris, for your work to date. But I'll put it back to the chair to elaborate. Take it away, Paul.
Thanks there, Ian. We'll continue on. I've got my President's report here, and the Rasa AGM marks the beginning of the Society's year and reflect on the Society's activities. And over the course of the year, Rasa's focus on lobbying and representation has included the implementation of 2x1 contest call signs, which was a huge win for the contesting community and demonstration of Rasa's ability to negotiate successfully with the AMC and the ACMA. We also have lobbied for full access to the 50 to 54 megahertz spectrum, 6 metres for standard class amateurs, and we'll be making sure that that is followed through with the ACMA. Retention of the connection between call sign numerics and station location has been a thing that we have looked at lobbying with, and we've done a little bit of work in that regard, and I suggest you keep an eye out for, and I'll give your thoughts known on that subject. A more equitable and transparent process for the assignment of repeater allocations is another thing that we are representing us for, and we've also had the 1 kilowatt output for power for advanced licensees, and continued representation to the ACMA and class licensing. Our other activities have included maintenance and further development of our e-magazine QTC and our online resources. We've also continued to work towards joint cooperation between Rasa and the WIA. Last month, there was actually a joint Rasa WIA meetings with the ACMA and with AMC on separate occasions. We also had a commemorative, we commemorated with the help of the amateur community the ABC's 90th birthday with special event call sign VK90 ABC. And Rasa's provided some hardware to the amateur radio community. We've got a reverse beacon located in West Gippsland, and that's undergone some improvements recently. And we also have a new DMR repeater, VK3RAA in Currumborough, Victoria, with thanks to Peter VK3TE. There also has been some challenges in the last 12 months where the mettle of our board and members have been tested. In the past few days, there's been accusations that Rasa provided misleading information, encouraging the use of the AX prefix as a mark of respect in the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The next issue of our journal, QTC magazine, will cover in detail the action that occurred that made this possible, and will answer many of the questions that you may have. I can assure you that no one was misled by Rasa. On behalf of the membership and myself, I'd like to thank the Rasa board for their time and hard work. There's also been some changes on the board too. Chris Chapman, our outgoing treasurer, was also a founding member of Rasa. On behalf of the membership and management team, I'd like to thank Chris for his contribution to Rasa and amateur radio, and join me in wishing Chris success in his future endeavours. Okay, over to Chris, the outgoing treasurer, and he'll present his financial report.
Terrific. Thanks, Paul, and welcome everyone. Great to see some familiar and some new faces on Zoom. 2021-22 was another successful year for Rasa. Your committee continued to manage finances in a responsible manner, investing in programs and initiatives that further the aims of the Society and our hobby. This year, we made some significant investments, as Paul has already mentioned, with the DMR repeater down here in South Gippsland, extending the network in VK3, as well as banking some savings for future years' software expenditure. We did a deal with GoDaddy. We've paid for a couple of years in advance and got a significant reduction in the annual rate. We also incurred some software and licensing costs associated with the VK90 ABC special event program, which Paul has already touched on. These investments were one-offs and resulted in a deficit of $506.17 for the financial year. I want to highlight the VK90 ABC special event station that we've been running throughout 2022. And it's proven to be a great success so far, with over 4,000 QSOs We've nearly achieved DXCC. The last time I checked, I think it was about 95, 96 DXCC entities. And perhaps just as importantly, operators have been interviewed by ABC Radio on 3 occasions that I'm aware of. And you can head off to the VK90abc.net website and listen to those interviews. And they're just a wonderful promotion of our hobby and also the connection between the hobby of amateur radio and, of course, broadcast radio and the ABC's history. Coming back to our budget, RASA's annual steady state operational costs sit at around $3,000 per year. Last year, we collected sufficient revenue from donations and product sales to cover these costs. In other words, donations and revenue from sales, and sales for us are advertisements in the QTC magazine and our QRM kill kits, and they allow RASA to operate without your membership fees. RASA's always been looking for new and innovative ways to support our members and meet the goals of the association. Member renewal processes take a lot of time and resources, and we believe it is better for our volunteers and members that we direct our energies to more productive and beneficial outcomes. And I'm sure any of you that have sat on committees and had to manage a membership list will very much understand the amount of time and effort that goes into the annual renewal process. So on this basis, and recognising that the association can function on donations and sales revenue alone, the committee approved a motion to trial complimentary membership renewal for 1 year. New members will still pay a $10 joining fee. We are hopeful our existing members and supporters will continue with your generous support to enable this trial to be a success. This motion was confirmed by members as a part of the election and in the lead up to this annual general meeting. So the good news is existing members do not need to pay the renewal fees for 2022-2023. However, the very good news is that already we're seeing a very, very good flow of donations coming into our bank account and PayPal account. In relation to this particular motion, we received one question from the membership base, and that's Mel, VK5 Mike Juliet, and Mel's question reads, what is the reasoning behind this idea? If you have too much in the bank, I would personally prefer to see funds invested in such programs as QRM Guru, interference kits, and hopefully other similar projects in the future. Discounts could be returned to financial members. This would hopefully encourage greater membership for RASA, which is what all organisations strive for, and will give more strength to your lobbying for amateur radio. Thanks, Mel. That's a good question. I hope the rationale provided in this report answers your questions. RASA now has over $6,000 in the bank and is able to meet all liabilities and expenses for the year ahead. Should the trial prove a success, this new funding model will herald another first for AR representation in Australia, possibly the world. A representative association funded by donations and product sales, with members only paying a one-time joining fee. Of course, recurring revenue is critical to associations like ours, so the committee will monitor this initiative closely over the coming 12 months. Michael Henderson has just joined the conference. Welcome, Michael. Following the AGM, I'll be stepping down as RASA's Treasurer and Committee Member. I was a founding member of RASA and have had a thoroughly rewarding and enjoyable 4 years working with a great bunch of fellow amateurs for the betterment of our hobby. RASA has achieved a lot in these 4 years, and I thank my fellow committee members and every RASA member and supporter who has helped make RASA the success it is today. I'll continue to support the society behind the scenes, as well as with QRM Guru and QTC magazine. Over the coming weeks and months, I'll work closely with committee and Ian to ensure a smooth transition of all Treasury responsibilities. It is worth noting that we run a very, very straightforward and simple financial model, so there really is very little exposure as we transfer responsibility from myself to Ian. It's been both a pleasure and a fantastic opportunity to be part of a new and fresh approach to amateur radio representation in Australia, and I wish the continuing committee every success. Thanks, Paul. Back to you.
Thank you, Chris, for your report and as your last duties was treasurer. And okay, we've got a little bit more to continue with before we close up. I just thought I'd continue on giving you an idea of what's in store for Rasa in the next 12 months. Rasa is going to continue to develop our current roles and initiatives, and we're going to continue to communicate with VK amateurs regularly and openly seek feedback from our members and the amateur radio community in general. Other initiatives will include things like education awareness on VK regulations and the ACMA, to continue to develop and promote and support QRM Guru and amateur radio tech support known as ARTS. Lobby for the 1 kilowatt for advanced licensees. Further develop resources to help foundation licensees and newcomers. Examine the potential of further things in the way of hardware like Whisper, the reverse beacon network and DMR rollouts. We'll persist in our desire to work with the WIA and develop other strategies to grow, evolve and improve Australian amateur radio by listening to all amateurs. This only happens with the input and support of our members and the greater amateur radio community, and we need to hear from you. That concludes the meeting for the AGM today, and and I thank everyone for their attendance. And there will be an open forum after the close of this meeting. And for those of you who would like to have got questions or would like to talk about matters, we'd love to hear from you. So on behalf of the Rasa management team, I wish you all success in your amateur radio endeavours, and thank you for attending. This concludes the AGM proceedings for 2022. Thank you.